Welcome to another
Good.
episode of Wisdom on the Front Porch. And on my front porch today, I have someone who is wonderful. As always, just have the best guests. And here's another one. This is Grant. Grant, it says your name is Depth Healing. What is depth healing?
Depth healing is a system I founded, and it's a profound energy system with combining quantum physics and mysticism to handle everything and anything.
Oh, wow.
And I do it by I'm a distance healer, so distance is irrelevant, and I take care of people all over the world.
Awesome. We are going to talk after this episode.
Okay.
Get rid of this
Okay.
cold I've got here. So I love that. I know a lot of people who do Reiki healing. Um, I
Uh-huh.
I've got the master in Reiki myself, even though I
Yeah.
don't practice it much. I just keep it mostly to family because there's so many things I like to do with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
creative mind. So, but that's wonderful. And Beats is wisdom on the front porch, and it's for entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. We want to make sure that we bring tools for other entrepreneurs to use. And I think what you're doing is amazing. And as I said, I know so many people who do that, a lot of entrepreneurs who are into healing and healing in a different variety of ways, not just Reiki and such. And so I know there's people who are going to be listening to it's like, well, I do that. How can I get into entrepreneurship? And so maybe a good way to answer that question is to ask you, how did you get started? What motivated you to pursue this as a business?
I can't stand working for anybody else. I I uh I get fired real fast because I have to handle life myself on my own terms.
Yeah,
So that's the fundamental driving force for me. And
yeah,
then I was born with my mission and purpose to do the kind of work I do. And then it was a matter of a little over 5 decades to develop enough skill level to do what I do. It
okay,
was
so
quite a
I'm going to
long
stop
journey.
you there and ask you. So it took you 50 years to get your skill level up. And there's people who are in their 20s and say, or even in their 30s and go, I mean, I have to do this for another 20 years. And I'm going to say, everybody does it on their own. But tell me, why do you think it took you that much time to
Well,
be
it's
where you wanted
the
to be?
stuff I do is that profound, honey. And
Okay,
the other thing is, real master healers are not made overnight. That's all a bunch of
absolutely.
nonsense. I'm a Reiki master. It take 1 full year per level.
Yeah,
There's 3 levels.
excuse me.
I studied. I carry 3 samurai lineages on my shoulders. I studied 46 years, over 50,000 hours, and then I apprenticed under uh, 5 great master doctors to learn healing, and then I've had to live life so that I know enough about people in life so that I can help people from not from data. Data doesn't mean anything, as you well know. Life is not data, so requires. And I'm learning. I'm always advancing daily, nonstop. But as far as being an entrepreneur goes, you just dive in and you just start building your life. You don't. That doesn't require. Um, I'm a craftsman, so you could be an entrepreneur and sell paper clips. The trick is that you're your own boss, and nobody's going to tell you what to do. And I find that a very nice way to live.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know.
And and yeah, I've when I've worked for other people, I'm always in the top achievers, but I don't work very long there for various reasons, but I think the main reason is because there's more I want to do. I think the most satisfying job I ever had working for somebody else was in research and development and
Oh,
setting displays. I mean, they're really nice, high quality, because I could really take pride in that. And I knew how to
mhm,
run a team
mhm,
to get them to take pride in it. And it was tough because I had to go from being their buddy working on the line with them to being their supervisor who had to make sure
mhm,
they got things right. And you don't want to hurt their feelings, but when you've got people breathing down your neck, you've got to get the job done. But,
mhm.
it's a
Yeah,
process. You learn how to get through that. But yeah, I think entrepreneurship for a lot of people is having the freedom to bring in an income,
mhm,
to do something that makes you really happy.
yeah,
And despite the struggles and the hardships that go with it, because there isn't any business, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working for someone else, you're still going to have those struggles and hardships, but you get to decide what happens. You get to manage
yeah.
it. That
At
may
least,
sound like a lot on your shoulders, but it's an easier yoke, I think.
yeah. It's just I'm just built that way. When I was a young buck, I worked in the factories, to afford my initial training, and
Mhm.
it just doesn't go well with me at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
and even now I see other people who are working so they can afford to be an entrepreneur because it takes a little while to get off the ground. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and then you come to the point. I coach a lot of people, and you just get to the point where you make the jump. You say, okay, I'm going full bore, and then
yeah,
my way is I have a strong relationship with the divine, and I'm relying on the divine so that I don't sink. And
yeah,
they've never let me sink.
yeah.
Never let me sink.
Isn't that amazing? I love that. I love what you said, and I love this, I really do. But I like what you said earlier is you took the time to develop your skill because you don't just do it overnight. People look at me and the books I've written, and yeah, I've got 35, I think 36 books now, and I did it in 2 years. Was not,
You wrote
you know,
36 books in 2 years?
yeah, and part of them are like these. They're anthologies. I wrote a chapter in it, but I've got 18 of my
Oh,
own books in 2 years, and
wow.
most of them are #1 bestsellers. But I put
Wow.
in the hours. I mean, I put in a lot of hours, but I had to go find what worked because I had 3 books, I wrote them, put them on Amazon. I thought, okay, that's it. I'm going to be bringing in the money because everybody loves my books. All my family that's read it, my friends, they love it. And it's like, nothing. I
Nothing.
mean, Italy squat, no dust, no crickets, nothing. And so I had to learn that there were things I needed to do to get my books to where they needed to be. But I also am the one who has to promote my books. You can't just stick something up there and expect it. It's like opening up a store and expecting everybody to come to you, but not letting anybody know that you've got your store or where it's located. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's through the process of learning and learning about editors and getting you the right covers on your books and all of that things. Just like in what you're doing, you have to learn the skill and what it takes to do what you're doing, what you want to do very well. You don't want to be like everybody else because you're not everybody else. So you've got to do a little bit of self-discovery too, find out who you really are,
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
that mindset. Been going through a lot of that lately. Getting rid of all of that garbage that has been let into my brain and
Mm.
turning it into useful materials. Maybe recycle it. You don't have to get rid of everything, but recycle it.
What do you write about?
So I started out writing children's books because I wrote for my grandkids, and it's just transformed into a lot of different things, but the books I have mostly are children's books. I've got a
Well,
journal. I have a book on how to get started as an entrepreneur or a writer, even in your life, just the basic things you need. And it's like, man, they really jump-started me and got me to the next level that I needed to be. And it's like, I just have to share it with other people. I want them to find this joy and this amazing adventure, this journey of life, because if you've got something in you that you want to get out, how's it going to get out if you don't know how to start? And so, I wrote a book, Everyone Has a First Day, and we start there. Gives you some ideas and where to go, and I love being able to help people publish their books and get them written and know what to do. Um, and I love podcasting because, like you, I get to help you get your message out, and I learn from you too. But
I like doing podcasts a lot.
yeah, it's great to share. One thing I've been really learning this past year is you have to give. You have to give, and part of giving is sharing what you do and how you do it, why you do it, what how you can help others get to where they want to go. I love writing. I love getting, number one bestseller. I love getting the awards. That's all good.
Oh,
But what really,
that's
really lights me up is when I've known that I've helped somebody else achieve what they wanted to do. That's
yeah, me
that's
too.
the best part right there.
Me too. That's what I live for.
Yeah, yeah. So you did all of this training and you've got there and you decided I'm gonna go for it. And did you have difficulties getting started as an entrepreneur?
Well, funny thing, I don't ever really think about it because I just take it on
Yeah.
day by day. I I I don't know anything at all about business. So what I did was I have my purpose and relationship with the divine, and then I just start to help somebody, like heal somebody, and then they tell somebody else, and I started off like that. It was only at the Maherta on January 25th, January 15th, 2024, the Maherta occurred. It was a 12-hour window, a galactic event. It won't
Mhm.
happen again for 250,000 years.
Wow.
And I went from like 20 people a month to 18,000 people showed up, 18,000, over 18,000 on that day
Wow.
worldwide. And we don't have any advertising for anything like that. I mean, that's just the divine brought them. So from on that day, my admin, Johnny, luckily he understands how to do because I got to a point where I had Johnny, I had an admin helping me because I don't know anything about marketing or nothing.
Yep.
I know my craft.
Yeah.
I'm a so Johnny handles all that stuff. I as an entrepreneur, one of the guys that I like to listen to is John Assaraf, and Assaraf always says, delegate, delegate,
Yep.
delegate, delegate.
Yep.
So that's what I do. And at the Maherta, when we jumped up like that, we really had to move quick. And Johnny built a whole business structure to be able to handle the massive numbers of people. So I had a quantum leap at that time. But the trick was if I hadn't had Johnny, I'd I don't know any, and I'm never going to learn social media. The only thing I do with social media, I like to look at pretty pictures and that's about it. Um, my work is people come to me, they have any kind of problem, whether it's health, relationship, financial, whatever it is. And my job is to clear it, heal it, change it so that that everything's okay. And I'm able to do that. So, with the depth healing is designed to be able to do that. So it just like you and I, we both Reiki masters, something sort of similar, except that the range is really massive. And
Right.
I'm using destructive and constructive interference waves through a big, huge list of channeled frequencies. I'm able to speak to the quantum field with surgical accuracy, and
Right.
that way I can interact with their subconscious, handle everything, and then so that's my side. And I just started from word of mouth because I don't have any idea how to promote and because I was born for this, I've always had divine support that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been, it's different kinds of challenges come up. I moved from Canada to America, and I taught professionally, and I used to teach the military and in Silicon Valley. Then that was taken
Wow.
away from me suddenly. I went back to school in my 40s, became a licensed doctor, got married. That all crashed. Uh, Moved to Thailand in 2015 and established specifically depth healing, and it's grown as it is now. So I moved to Thailand 2015. So, but the primary thing as an entrepreneur is nothing going to stop me.
Right.
And that's the way I am, and I have my objectives and my dreams, and then nothing's going to stop me. That's just the way it is,
Yeah,
you
and it
know.
has to be that way. You can't let anything stop you. And yet, like you did, you had challenges that came in, but you found ways to keep going forward and keep doing what you
Yeah.
wanted to do. And that's so important. Um, I was just in a meeting with Jim Britt, and he said that you need to ask yourself, is this action I'm taking moving me forward, moving
Yeah,
in the
right.
direction I want to go? And yeah, I mean, last December, my mentor was saying, are you doing the things that are moving you forward to where you want to be? Or are you doing the things that are keeping you busy? And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's a
well, I
real good
thought
point.
I was, yeah. Yeah, I thought I was doing things that was moving me forward until we discussed what the difference was. What
Yeah,
are you doing? And it's like I realized most of it was busy, not that it's busy work just to occupy my time, it's things that I really like doing, but it was not moving, what do they say, moving the needle forward. It was not moving me further in the direction I needed to go. And so that was a real eye opener. I love
yeah,
these times of ending the year and starting the year and all the things you need to do to look at it. You know, someone who was it? Mel Robbins. Someone sent me a video from Mel Robbins, and she's talking about something she does at the beginning of every year is she goes through her pictures on her phone. What did she do in January? What did she do in February? What were the highlights? And she said she realized her highlight was getting this book done that she was doing, but almost all of her pictures had to do with work, not with family. There were some family things in there, but the majority of it was work. And she goes, that's not where I want the majority of my time. I want my
yeah,
time with family. Yes, I need work in there because it pays for me to have all this fun with my family, but it should
Mhm.
not be 90% of my pictures on my phone. And I thought, wow, that was really enlightening to hear.
Yeah, I always teach everybody because this is how I finally started moving strong and hard. Identify, take the time and really identify your values
Mm.
in every area, each area of your life. Because without knowing those values real clearly, you have no basis for making decisions.
Right, right.
And then all you have to do once you know your values in each given area of your life is to make that area of your life congruent with the values. If they're not congruent with your values, you're in compromise.
Yeah.
And if you're in compromise, you don't have power, you're not happy. Um, so that's what I did in 2015 when I left America. I I've got myself, I would say my life is at least 95% or more congruent with my values
So I want
in
to
every.
ask you about that decision you made. Um, did you, and I don't think you did this, but some would say, well, this isn't working out, so I'm just going to pick up and go over here because I've always wanted to go there. I want to hear the process, um, if you can, of the decisions you made and what motivated you and how did you finally get to Thailand?
Yeah. Um, I was, I'm one of the 81,000 of a specific group called the 81,000 in out of India. It's a morphic field task force for the divine. And I was at Dr. Rossi McClellan's home in 2014.
Yeah.
She's one of the hosts of the Sacred Chamber process. Sacred Chambers is a really powerful process where you can interface directly with the divine presence. And the divine presence means whoever your divine is, whether it's Jesus or archangels or just a ball of light, whatever you want. The divine doesn't care. It'll come to you however you want to talk to it. Well, anyway, during that process, because I was very unhappy and marriage was a mess. I had no success financially in North America whatsoever, irregardless of my skill levels or anything else. And during that process, my my programs were rewritten. So my life was rewritten in that process. I didn't know it that it had been rewritten. I went into a state of just a state of causeless joy, is what I remember, for about a day after that. And then within just a couple of months, spontaneously, I just, because I had never dreamed in my life of thinking of living in Thailand. Most of my education is Japanese because I'm a samurai trained man. And my one buddy that we became doctors together back in Texas, Terry, he had he was living in Thailand. And he called me and we were talking and just uh, like that, I said, I'm moving to Thailand. And I left. Within a couple of months, I just left. I got a little tiny loan for $5,000 and I left. And the idea was I'd bring Tammy, my ex-wife, to Thailand later. So I just jumped right into the unknown with the divine has my back. And I had to, because of my age, and that I had to jump a couple of hoops. Once I got there, I had to teach English. I don't know how to teach English. And I don't know the culture. I don't know anything. So I just took it all on. That's the way I do stuff. I did that back in 1991. I had a massive enlightenment experience, a state, not enlightenment, a state of enlightenment. And when I came down
What's
out of
the
that was
difference? People are going to ask, what's the difference?
enlightenment, like Eckhart Tolle is an example of an enlightened man, okay, person. So when you see an enlightened being, their inner dialogue has stopped. The only thing that you'll be able to say commonality with enlightened people, because all enlightenments are different for every person, but the one common thing is that their inner dialogue will have stopped. And then their brain only functions whenever they want it to function. Otherwise, they exist in a state of inner silence, inner peace, and stillness. And they live in a state of causeless joy, and I mean causeless joy. So the self is it, an enlightened person is in a state of being. You and I are in a state of doing. So we are doing and becoming.
Okay.
An enlightened person is just like a giant tree. It is. So they're completely different states. An enlightenment state means you go into a state of consciousness for a period of time and then you drop out. It might be a couple of minutes long or a couple of hours long or even a couple of days long, but then you return back to the normal consciousness the way you are. But you have the insight and you know the difference.
Okay. Okay.
So, I am not enlightened. Most people you see are not enlightened, but Eckhart Tolle is enlightened. So his brain is altered. An enlightened person's brain is altered, and the past and the future drop away, and they're just in the present moment, and so everything is very different for an enlightened person. Well, I had that experience in 1991 at the University of Windsor, my graduating year, and then I didn't know why, but I needed to move to California.
Hmm.
And I did in a couple of months. I just got up and left at the age of 31 and landed in Silicon Valley. And then from there, the objective was to build my own dojo, but I had no money at all, and I didn't know anybody or anything. And I ended up being blessed by a great holy man. And by 1994, I built the biggest dojo in Aikido on the West Coast. And
Hmm.
that's where I taught the military, and I helped battered women and Alcoholics Anonymous. And all of that I did for years. Then that was taken away from me. The landlord died. His son came in, commandeered everything. And that was the biggest shock of my life.
Hmm.
When I came down out of that shock, I left and went back to school to become a doctor. And I left teaching martial art as a profession for the rest of my life. And I went, we got the visa and everything. And then I entered school and became a doctor, and I was licensed in Georgia, and I graduated Texas, got married there, and I was licensed in Georgia and Tennessee, and then had no success whatsoever business-wise. And
Mm.
then uh, I had that experience in the sacred chamber, and I found myself suddenly in Thailand, living way up in the mountains in Isan, in the near Laos, the Lao
Okay.
border. And then I reached 60 years old, and then you can't work anymore. So I didn't have anywhere near the money to get a retirement visa. So the divine provided me with a gentleman, and he took care of the visa, and I had the visa. And then I said to the divine, okay, so I I can't work now. Depth healing's got to carry me, and everything just the support system's there, and my clients grew and grew and grew and grew, and I became really highly known in Dubai.
Mm.
I'd never been to Dubai before, and so it's been sort of an adventure, you know. And then on 2024, when the Muhurta came, uh, I I do a free full moon seva ceremony every month. See,
Nice.
and that's where that has nothing to do with my work. That's between I facilitate a relationship between the collective people there and the divine. And
Mm.
it's their chance, they have like it's like opening up a portal so they can get their prayers answered, whatever
Okay.
their prayers are. And then we collectively pray for the world. So at the Muhurta, I jumped up into a different league.
That's
So
awesome.
that's it's an unusual story, but that's and see Johnny, he knows social media, and he knows the how to post things, and he's a natural born designer. He loves to design things, so he handles all of that, and I handle the clients.
That's nice. That's good. And that's great that you got to the point that you realized you needed um, somebody to help you. And we all get to that point. I mean, we all need someone to help us, but it's
Yeah,
really good. So how do people get a hold of you?
it's real easy. We have a website that Johnny handles. It's depthhealing.org,
Okay.
and everything is posted there. Like everything's up there now for January. I do two collectives that are collective healings, and there that's where I do like a horizontal sweep because it's morphic field physics, means collective physics. And then the full moon seva is in the middle of the month. Full moon falls around 13th. So
Hmm.
so all of that's posted there. And then if they want privates, it's all automated. Johnny knows how to set that up. Because in the old days I used to do it all myself. And then when they got so many people, you just
Yeah.
go on the site and you select your time, and it's all handled. And I have a nice client that just got booked in this afternoon.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
yeah,
so much for being on my show. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the insight on starting your business and being an entrepreneur and sharing your struggles and what you did to achieve. And I don't know if conquer is the right word, but you had a challenge and you said, okay, let's see what I can do with this, and you did it. And that's so important to do. So thank your audience for being here, and we'll see you next time
yeah.
on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
Thanks for having me, honey.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, LS Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.